Good afternoon or evening or morning.
It's a generic time in the world of YouTube.
Podcast.
Yes.
Nobody knows. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning for you now if you're listening. And I'm going to put on my special voice in case you're not looking at us on YouTube. If you would like to see us, head over to Nadia Sawalha and Family YouTube channel because we put these up in glorious Technicolor vision.
Subscribe.
Yeah, and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and then you'll always know when something is coming up from us. We do all sorts there. Gardening, film reviews, whatever tickles our fancy.
Showbiz.
Or tickles Mark's fancy.
Agony aunt and uncle.
Yeah, we do a whole lot of stuff over there. But we do love our podcasts. We do love our podcasts. We are going to try very hard to make them a bit more regular.
Yes.
But we do so much. It's really hard. So what we've done the last couple of podcasts is surprise each other with a question. So the other one has no idea what it is. And today it's my turn. We don't even know if it was my turn last time, but we don't care how do we? We've just decided
it was my turn last time because it was plastic surgery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to talk about, and literally, Mark's got his Mr. Happy t-shirt on and everything could go severely boobs up when I bring up this topic, because it's the thing that both of us are both drawn together, both being Scorpios, by, and also repelled from each other because we're both so terrified of it. Can you guess what I want to talk about from that? No.
Gluten.
No, not gluten. Death. Can I move this over a bit because I can't see you properly?
Yeah, go on.
That hurt.
As long as you stay in the shot.
There you go. I'm just moving you over, podcast. But if on YouTube, you'll have felt that. You'll have seen that. Death. And what's going to happen?
That's cheery.
When
I was already feeling a little bit down today, so let's go.
Let's just go for it. And what we're going to do when the other one's gone. And how do we feel about that? And who's going to go first? And what do you want in your funeral? And we haven't even done a blooming will.
Christ, there's a lot there, isn't there?
We do not talk about this at all.
Well, hang on, we talk about death all the time.
Yeah, that's true, but we don't talk about it in a productive way.
We don't talk about the practical consequences
No, pragmatic way, no.
Why don't we?
Because I think we're so scared of it.
Well, I don't. I think it's because we're children. I think it's because we're all adult children. I think there are certain types of grown-ups who are grown-ups, and those are the kind of grown-ups that I find really intimidating in the world.
Yeah.
And then there are grown-ups who, okay, you could say are just irresponsible and childish, such as ourselves, or you could say are fully in touch with the fact that actually being a grown-up is a total lie, because actually we're all bloody petrified. We know little more than we did before, and we're all going to bloody die.
I said to Maddie the other day when she was worrying about something, I said, Maddie, you do realise me and Daddy are just adult children. We don't know what the hell's going on about anything.
The thing that really liberates me about all this sort of stuff is, I can't remember who said it, but someone once said, we're all experiencing what we're experiencing for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, we try and learn from others, we try and follow social norms and all that, and okay, it's very responsible to have a pension, it's very responsible to have written your will, but there are kind of compelling reasons, practical reasons as to why we haven't written a will. Here's the thing, we did go and actually sit in a solicitor's office and have the first conversation about drawing up a will. It ended with us both in tears. And you looking at my ring saying, oh my God, who's going to actually have that?
Well, where do we start with this? Okay. Who do you think is going to die first?
That's a really hard one.
Who do you think would be better able?
Here's the thing, if I relapsed, I'd die rapidly. That is a fact. And I'm not saying that in a facetious way, but I often think about this. You know, we sometimes toy with the idea of, you know, people often say to me, what if you were to pick up a drink? I mean, the biggest literal threat to our lives is my addiction, in terms of the two of us and what could get us in the short term. Addiction and depression, conflation, terrible.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, looking after that is critical.
So that's really important, you really look after yourself.
Well, it's critical, but also it sometimes feels like a huge, huge burden of responsibility, because something like death can hang over an addict in a very odd way, because, you know, to the outside world, it's just like, oh, he's just had a drink. You know, how many times do people say to me, what would happen if you just have a drink? The kids say, well, why don't you, if you were to not literally have a drink, but if you were to just have a drink. It was very hard to relate, just have a drink at the table at that point where I'd probably have a really nice evening, to 6 months down the line being dead. Or in a nut house, or life having completely radically, irreversibly changed, and all, suicide, all these sorts of things are possibilities with addiction. So death and who it hits first isn't an easy thing to answer. That's about me staying able.
No, but what do you ever have? Because if I'm honest, I always think it would be better if you went first. But then when I think about it, I think,
I'm getting competitive now. Why?
I would think, oh my God, I just cannot imagine a life without you.
But can I ask you why?
Because I don't think you'd... I suppose because I would worry that you would pick up a drink if I died.
So you're worried that the addiction thing would kick in after you died. That's interesting. See, it's a funny subject, death, in a family that has an addict or an alcoholic in it. Because in you saying that, I couldn't put my hand on my heart and say that my recovery and sobriety was strong enough to cope. And yet, I would move heaven and high water to cope for the children, of course.
Exactly.
I mean, that there's no bigger, more compelling reason.
And I think you would.
And I think
you would stay sober. I think you would stay sober because of the children. But I suppose if you think about our life together...
It's a gamble.
I think if you think about our life together... There's more obvious, it's more... To the outside world, it would look like I save you all the time, right? If you just look at it from the outside. You have anxiety, you have depression that you've spoken about, addiction, all these things. But you're a very high functioning person. You're, you're successful, you're hardworking, you're a very present husband, you're a very present father. You are, out of everyone I know, when they talk about their partners, there is nobody that measures up to you in any way, shape or form. So you are absolutely, with all of these things, you are the best. It's like I overheard Maddie saying the other day to somebody, you literally couldn't find a better father than...
No, I don't. That's really sweet.
No, she did. I overheard her saying that. She said, you literally couldn't find anyone better than my dad. So all of that. But I suppose from my position, because I know everything, I worry about your vulnerability. But then when I think about that, I think about, people don't realise, of course, because I am the rescuer and because of all of that, people don't realise how much I depend on you, because it's not as obvious. With it's much more obvious, isn't it, if somebody's gone to rehab and somebody's done all of this stuff. But for me, it's not. I mean, all of where I am today, with my career, with everything, I just couldn't imagine how I would have got here without you being who you are. I mean, you've helped, I'm educated in a way that I wasn't. I have a completely different outlook and attitude to life because of you. So then I get back to, oh my God, well, really, there isn't one that's strong enough to bear the other one dying. What we're going to have to do is both die together.
But as you say that, I'm not entirely certain how I sustain you, because I have a sort of underlying sense that I have contributed to your life, but because you do this thing of holding at arm's length and want to be the rescuer and want to be the looker after and want to be all of those things, I do feel myself sustaining and looking after in the background, but it feels like it has to be done by such stealth, and then it becomes such sort of such obscure ways that, I mean, for example, I know for a fact, and you've said it quite a few times, that if I hadn't got sober and done all of the kind of things that led to that, your life too was ricocheting off into all sorts of excesses and lifestyle choices that, whether it be around food or around drink or whatever, which just weren't sustaining you. So, I do recognise that I brought that. I also, obviously I'm sort of...
That's like whenever you say to me, thank you, you saved my life, I always say you saved mine.
Yeah.
It's not a one-way street when somebody gets sober at all. Because whoever's with the person that's not sober, they've got a whole load of issues themselves, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which I certainly did.
I mean, I suppose, an interesting one is who would go first?
Who would cope better?
Who would cope better? Well, on a practical level, I don't know if you remember when one was at school and you'd be in classes and with kids from other classes, they say, you're going to die first. And you'd be like, why are you saying that?
And
they
People
go,
did used
and they
to
used to say,
that.
because you're older than me and you're going to die first. Because you're like, and then, of course, I remember some smart ass saying, not if you got hit by a bus. And you'd be like, yeah. And I remember running around thinking this was the most wonderful argument killer. Not if you got hit by a bus. It's like, but on a practical level, you're 6/7 years older than me.
And I don't exercise like you do.
Well, I run every day, but I didn't exercise for many years. I smoked, I drank, I did far too many bad things, badly. I did things badly and bigly. And I worry to this day that my lungs are going to pack out because of how much I smoked.
We're going to go into
no.
All the things I worry I've got.
This is the fact of the matter. I had asthma and I smoked for years.
And then got pneumonia and carried on
pneumonia
smoking.
I didn't get pneumonia when I was smoking. I got pneumonia as a
pneumonia
kid.
as a child,
Yeah, double pneumonia. I was in a bubble.
What were you thinking?
So, utterly ridiculous,
Yeah. We've done stuff that means we deserve to die.
So in terms of who will die first, I think one can't say.
But who do you think? When you see other couples, don't you? You always think, I know which one. I can think of a couple that I know, that you know as well, I won't say their names. And we've always thought that he was going to go first, and then she had that massive heart attack. We never imagined it. He had heart problems all his life. And then she was the one that had the heart attack.
I know, but there's that thing that happens with a lot of people where you say, we used to think it with Nan and Dad, that, Dad's the vulnerable one, he's had 4 coronaries, Nan will surprise us and Nan will go. And it didn't happen. It didn't go that way. It ran the way, we all try and outsmart death. We can't. And I don't think there's any way we could say who would die.
Yeah, because you look at people that have been super healthy all their life and they suddenly get
Sometimes I'm on
cancer
runs and
then they die.
I'm on a run and I get a sudden
unfair.
pain in my chest and I think, what the hell will happen if I keel over now? I'll tell you what I need to get is one of those bands with a number on. Because if I was found on the street just kind of palpitating...
I don't like this topic.
Well, anyway, so let's forget who's going to die first.
We've done a whole podcast just on not knowing who's going to die. Okay.
But how we'd cope? You say you'd prefer it. You'd prefer it if I died first.
Why don't
Is that
we...
what you said?
No, not prefer. Did I say that? That's not what I meant. I can't imagine a life without you.
Well, no, I don't think either of us want to imagine a life without each other.
I don't want you to die.
I don't want you to die.
I feel sad now.
We're not going to die. We're not going to...
Okay, well, let's lighten it up a bit. I don't know what you would want for your funeral.
Well, I know the one thing...
This is a really important thing.
Well, it really surprised me the other week when you suddenly but you do change with the wind, so it's kind of... You do have wind. Where you suddenly said you wanted to be buried.
Did I?
Yes, and it was just like at the dinner table. And, as a couple, sometimes you feel a proud ownership of certain sort of intimate details you know about each other. And then suddenly you will say something and announce it at the table, and it's a complete reverse from whatever I thought was the... Yeah, you said you wanted to be buried.
Do you want me to tell you what I want?
Yeah.
I want a Captain Fantastic burial movie that we love. We should do a review on that actually on our YouTube channel.
Do you want to be burnt on a...
No,
hillside?
I want that song. I want Maddie to sing that song.
Metallica's song.
Sweet
Is it Metallica or Guns N' Roses? Yeah.
Oh, sweet child of mine. And I just want people to be happy, and I want people to I want people to cry if they want to cry. I don't want to be too controlling when people say, I don't want people to cry. But I don't want people wearing black. I don't want it serious. I don't want it serious. I want lots of food and drink and hilarity. And I want people to say amazing things about me.
Should I partake in the drink?
I want people also to say amazing things about me. I want people to say about how awful I was too. Because that will prove to me that it's all right to be both things. Because I always worry about people think I'm a good person, but how much of a bad person I am. So I want people to say that I'm bad, what was awful about me as well as what was good about me. Because then I really feel they love me anyway.
But you'll be dead, and I don't know if that'd be particularly nice for your children. It might be what you want, but isn't a funeral more about what's required for the people left behind?
Just do whatever you want for my funeral then. Just you do whatever you want.
Is there any music? Oh, you want that song? You want that song sung?
Well, again, I don't want to be too prescriptive because I do think... we had this with Nanny Thelma, didn't we, where she didn't want food and she didn't want this and she didn't want that. And I said, well, what about us? Isn't it about how we cope with our grief? So, yes, definitely. What I would like is Sweet Child of Mine. If I just had that, I'd love that.
And what do you want? Do you want to be buried or do you want to be burnt?
I don't think I mind. I think whatever's okay for you.
See, I think...
But some people feel very, very, very spooked by burial. So if you feel spooked, then just have what helps, whatever makes it okay for you.
I have a very clear sense of what
Because
I
I
want
can
to
just
have.
imagine you being, oh my God, this makes me really upset now.
What made you catch yourself?
Well, because the thing is that because I'm just imagining everyone doing my funeral, because I can think on the one part, in one way, I would want to say, yes, you do it, but I know because I know what you're like, and it will drive you insane, and you'll just work too hard for it and everything. So maybe it is easier. And recently, over the last year, a couple of people at work that have lost people have said, oh my God, please be really specific about what you want for your funeral, because it's been a nightmare, the arguments about the music, the arguments about this, the arguments about that. So I think that it is important probably that we are very specific, and then say if there's anything extra you want to do, you can do, because people argue about it. What about you? What do you want?
Well, I mean, it's often a question people ask themselves, don't they? They say, well, how many people and who's going to come to my funeral? My life has changed so dramatically in such a profound way that there would have once been a time where a funeral for me would have had a wake of hundreds of people. Probably half of Soho would have come, quite literally, and that's not an exaggeration. And we're now at a place where a handful of people would come because and that, without wanting to go there, gives me the greatest sadness in some ways, but the greatest liberation in others. So
the reason for that is you got sober, and everyone you knew was a drinker and was too much of a drinker.
Yeah, they didn't want to face it in themselves.
You've literally put yourself almost into a reluctant loneliness to keep yourself safe.
It's the loneliness of the non-drinker.
I know.
The loneliness of the long-distance non-drinker.
I know. Because
the longer you don't drink, the fewer and fewer people you meet and know who haven't drunk for so long.
I know.
It's very weird. So, putting numbers of people aside, I think numbers is all about ego. I know that there would be some very, very, very dear friends there. I would want everyone to have the most appropriate event for themselves. So I wouldn't, I'm a bit like my nan. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't mind. I would want whatever made everyone else feel happy. In terms of what happens to my body, I want to be burnt.
Do you have to say it like that?
Creative. Yeah, just like Nan used to say, sling me in the woods.
And it used to really upset everyone. Nobody wanted to sling her in the woods.
I want to be cremated, but then I do want to be put into 4 beautifully crafted, you know, the egg timers. For some reason, Nadia thought I meant the egg timers that you turn on electric thing.
What electric thing?
When I said I want to be turned into an egg timer, he said, "Oh, I didn't realise you meant the things that you turn upside down and the sand falls through."
No, I did.
You didn't. You said, I thought you meant an egg timer, like a wind-up egg timer.
No, that is an egg timer. That's what I mean when I say an egg timer, a sand thing that you do. Of course I wouldn't have thought an electric. How would you have got you into an electric egg timer?
Well, that's what I always thought, yeah. Anyway, so 4 egg timers or timekeepers, you know.
Have I got one?
Oh, well, 5, sorry.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I'm assuming that you're already dead. I've kind of answered that question.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. I'm dead. Everyone else has got an egg timer.
Well, the kids have. No, you can. Yeah, 5. Turn me into 5. Now, I know what will happen
hang
then.
on a minute.
What happens if someone breaks one?
Well, they're going to have to sweep it up.
No. So I've got a backup plan. So they'll actually make 10 out of me.
I don't think they should. That makes it not special.
No, and then
they'll have
substitute.
No,
substitute egg timers. What remains
that's weird. You could still have a box that maybe if somebody did break it, because if you know what our lot are like, they think if they could break it, they'll break it and get another one. Well, we've got another one up by the bloody cornflakes.
The reason I like that and the reason I want that is because I've been obsessed with the passage of time and how time runs out and how things end and da-da-da-da. And this was a way of somehow being eternal. I think that's quite poetic. You look like you're going to be sick.
I'm just thinking about what would I actually think? I mean, because it's in glass, you'd be looking at it and you'd be thinking that's
Mark pouring through.
Except, of course, we know it's not because it's your soul.
So anyway,
but the actual funeral, you don't have specifics of all the sorts of music everything you want.
Yeah, but I've got so many pieces of music that, depending on the day, it
well,
changes.
This is what I mean. It's going to right. So if you drop dead today running,
I know the kids
all
would
you've
choose
just told
good
me
music.
is,
I know the girls would choose music that was appropriate to me. I know they would. They all know the music I like. Honestly, they do. I mean, but yeah. But why? So that doesn't answer. So we've talked about our funerals. What about our wills?
Well, let's not talk about a will. Let's say that's a separate podcast.
Really?
I don't like talking about wills.
How would you cope, literally, if I died tomorrow?
I wouldn't. I don't think. I just can't imagine it. As I said earlier, I just, like I say, everyone thinks of, like, oh, you know, how would Mark cope? It's that classic thing. But because people don't realise how much you support me and what a team we are. And some people would call us codependent, and I'm sure shrinks would call us codependent. I actually don't give a shit.
So do people not think I support you?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying immediately, if you look at our situation,
I'm the cripple.
Because you've talked openly about the stuff that you have.
But I don't say that facetiously. That's the danger with opening up on all of these platforms about this stuff.
But I would say that I wake up every morning feeling very anxious and very worried about my day and I work that out and that would be, you know, very, very difficult for me. I mean, and yeah, on an emotional level, I mean, I don't like to call you a best friend because I don't think, and I've spoken about this on the show actually, I don't think your partner should be your best friend because you also want them to be your lover. And I think if you just make your partner your best friend, it's not, I don't know.
I agree.
But you're more than a best friend. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
you're more than a best friend is something that you would tell every little thing to, that I wouldn't tell every little thing to you because I want there to be a specialness between us. So it transcends friendship. It is, you know, we are just...
companions.
No, not even companions. It's just... everything I go to say, it sounds really crass, but we are just two parts of one thing, and I can't imagine...
Do I prop you up at all? Do I ever? Because the reason I ask that is you rarely. It feels like you rarely let me be the support that I more often would like to be. I think
we choose the partners we want. I think you chose somebody that wasn't going to be needy, because you are somebody that is more needy. With not that in the immediate understanding of that, oh, you're so needy, but you chose me for a reason and I chose you for a reason. And I think we give each other what that was. You know, you actually, you spent a lifetime looking after your mum, really, in lots of ways, haven't you? You've often said that you felt like you had a child with your mum. So you were always going to choose a woman that was very like, what? Who? Hell? You were going to choose that. Of course you were. I wanted my mum to be more dominant in her relationship when I was growing up. So I am an alpha female. You know, I am an alpha female. Yeah, that doesn't mean that sometimes I just wish that I could just go, oh God, I'm in a real state, can somebody look after me? But I don't think, I can't change the goalposts, move the goalposts like that, because I'm not that. That's not what our contract is, if you like.
But you're talking about yourself as though you're an unchanging, fixed entity. That's who you are and that's what I am. And yet most of our relationship has been about me seeking change.
No, what I was trying to say with that was that I didn't explain it very well, is that, so it's not obvious that you do, but you really do. And if you weren't here, the carpet would be completely taken out from under my feet. So when you say you don't let me look after you, I do, but it's not in an obvious way.
Well,
I'm not gonna fall into your arms broken and say, sort out this for me.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying that you do, because I genuinely know how I support. I feel that I support you by stealth.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it be through, you know, the kids, what the kids, you know, how I can help with the kids in a different way. You're very practical. I try to be a bit more, I don't know, sort of I don't know, intellectual or academic or whatever with whatever it is they're doing, and likewise with work and career and friendships and things like that. I try and help you in as many ways as I can without you feeling it's coming at you direct.
Yeah, but through our marriage, we've come to that, haven't we? And we found the way, because we do. And listen, folks, if you are with somebody thinking, why is this bloke like this? You chose them. If you are with this woman, you chose them. I really do believe we do. When people say to me, oh, he's such a commitment phobe, I say, oh, so you like commitment phobes? Well, what do you mean? No, I don't want a commitment. We do, because you chose one. If you choose that cake or that cake or that cake, you've chosen them.
I agree, but
we fundamentally know, I think, what our partner is when we choose them.
I agree, but partners that are like what they are like when you choose them can change, and because they change, that's where relationships need to be flexible and
or evolve. I suppose is a better word.
Evolve,
isn't it,
and I think you need to evolve. Evolution has to happen on both sides.
Yeah, and I think it has. I mean, my God, when you think how much we've grown and changed and evolved, and sometimes when things flash up to me from the past and when our relationship was really bad. And I've thought about this quite a lot recently, actually. We should do a podcast on that. And I push it away because I don't want to remember how angry I felt or how sad I felt or how at our lowest times, and it will have been exactly the same for you. And I keep saying to myself today, in these thoughts that I have, just embrace it. Don't push it away. Say that was part of it. No relationship is all rosy. Accept it and see where you are now, and accept that you have both evolved and changed and learnt how to get on and learnt to accept each other. And I don't want like these dark shadows of how I used to feel,
And in a sort of summing up sort of phase, I'm a great believer in making up before you go to bed, because a lot of people die in their sleep. A lot of people can die. Death doesn't always come as a diagnosis followed by 6 months of prep and deep sadness. I'm not, it doesn't always come like that.
Rachel said to me yesterday, very good friend of ours, she completely believes that we choose our death. I said, do you think so? She said, absolutely. Every death you've had, you've chosen it somewhere.
Well, I haven't chosen one yet, so I'm not sitting and thinking,
not consciously,
No, I know
subconsciously.
that, but even subconsciously, I like to plug into it.
If you're going to ask me if we can always go to bed without having had a row,
no, I'm just asking that when we've had a row.
Because sometimes I'm too annoyed to make up before I go to sleep.
What I am saying is that when you say goodbye to people, always have a thought at the back of your mind, this might be the last time.
Not like me when I open the door and go on, just go and crash your car.
Because you can't have it, people can't have it always. You can't say live every day as though it's your last, and then by saying that, you've got to embrace the prospect that if it is my last, they could die. If I was to say that, you'd be like, that's so gloomy, that's so pessimistic, that's so
Maddie
dark.
said to me the other day, if I live every day that like it's my last, I'm going to be miserable all the time because I'll be really sad it was my last day.
That's so true. I think on that note we end it.